Bless everyone. Loves blessed everyone. There it is. Ugh. Christmas Eve, around 7 p.m. And read um, A Christmas Carol by Dickens. And that and The Tale of Two Cities were two of the stories that he wrote with a real specific idea of the beginning, middle, and outcome. And Christmas Carol he wrote so he could perform it in less than an hour and a half. And he performed it every Christmas Eve. And what Christmas Carol really does, it really captures the true sense of love's co-creation, because it's not about Santa Claus, it's not even about Jesus Christ or any religious thing. It is about why we live, what our life's about. And Marley, when Scrooge, the story starts, Marley was dead, as dead as a doornail. And the thing about Dickens is that he uses the language and the vernacular of his time, the 19th century, and he brings it every day of the reader or listener, and it's he does it like a griot. He does it in a way that the listener hears the story in such a way that it captures their interest and holds their interest and makes them. There are enough characters in there that pretty much everyone can identify with it. And Scrooge, Ebenezer, he's your everyman. He's your canary in the coal mine, right? Because he starts out as a little boy, right? And his father, for some reason, has ostracized him to a prep school, and it's a low rent one. It's like got mold, smelly, the food's bad. The guy who runs it, not so bad, but probably a drunk. Right? And so, hello, my friend. You're the first online. No, now there's two. And so Ebenezer is been ostracized and made to feel not loved. But his sister comes and gets him on Christmas. And she has broken her father's icy heart and got him to accept Ebenezer back home. And his sister is his true first love, the love of someone that you are, as Plato said, a platonic love, meaning he's not involved in eros with his sister, but he loves her dearly. His whole heart is his sister. And they grow up, and that is obviously his connection, right? Then he becomes an apprentice to his business, and the guy is like Santa Claus. He's like jolly and good, but he's a businessman. He makes a living, but he on Christmas, they have a big party and they clear out the office and everyone comes in and drinks and dances. And the boss has as much fun as anybody else. I mean, he dances up a storm with his wife, and his daughters are there, and it's just the essence of celebration, right? And nowhere in this story, up to this point, do we hear about, Walmart's or Black Friday or sales of I want this, I want that. No. Or about Jesus Christ or, born to save our sins. No, this is about human beings appreciating being a human being and sharing that appreciation with people they care about. Right? People they truly love, people who are their friends, and this is what life's about. It's not about becoming rich and famous. It's not about being a movie star or a politician or the richest man, millions of dollars. No, no. No one seems to have millions of dollars. But when the story starts off, we find the first act, per se. We find Ebenezer Scrooge as a miserly, rich, richer than anybody mostly, because he doesn't spend a penny. And Dickens really describes this office. I mean, he's in this office, and his accountant is in what they call the tank, and he's burning one little, rock of coal, and and we find Ebenezer in his office, and his nephew comes to visit him. And his nephew is the son of his sister, who he dearly loved. And he is, cold, and there's obviously a something between them that keeps them apart, right? And it might be that the birth of the boy caused the death of his beloved sister. There's something in that dynamic there. And so we have, Ebenezer treating his employee, really terribly. And it seems like Ebenezer is like what we would call a money manager, right? Or, he's in the banking services, right? And mostly taking advantage of whoever gets his services. And he doesn't spend a nickel, right? He doesn't spend, he doesn't have flashy clothes, flashy car. He's got nothing flashy. His house is not flashy. He eats gruel. And he's staying in his ex-partner's house, right? And so, his nephew drops by and invites him over to his house for Christmas, and Ebenezer really tells him to fuck off. I mean, the most nasty of ways in the 19th century vernacular. He calls him a humbug, and that he doesn't want to even talk to him. Get out of my office, humbug. You're a fool. If you're celebrating Christmas, you're a fool, right? And so his nephew is like the most unbelievably nice guy, because no matter how Ebenezer disses him, he is not giving up on being a nice guy. He's not going to be mean or anything, right? And later in the story, he says, I'm always going to be nice to my uncle because my mother loved him. And I don't have to get upset with the mean things he says to me, because this poor guy is, has a miserable life. He has a zillion times more money than I do, but he has a miserable life. And the cause of his miserable life is himself. It's not anybody else's fault, And Dickens is bringing forth all of the human complaints, meaning, what everyone complains about, the misery that people live, the poor, the poverty, the suffering, all the above. I mean, he really is a describer of the human complaint of his day, right? So after his nephew leaves, and his nephew doesn't like slam the door, he leaves saying, "I love you, Uncle. Have a good Christmas." And his uncle Ebenezer is saying, "Fuck off, asshole. You're a jerk. You know, get out of here." And when he leaves, he, wishes Bob Cratchit a happy everything. And Bob, smiles at him. And Ebenezer gives Bob Cratchit a hard time for just smiling at his nephew. And as the nephew leaves, these two businessmen come in and walk up to, "So you are Ebenezer or Scrooge?" And I mean, Marley or Scrooge. And he says, "Oh, I'm Scrooge." And they go, "Well, you know, you are doing quite well in your business, and this time of year, we try to help the needy and the indigent, and we are going to all of the folks in the city of London, and that's the banking. There's there's Rome that runs religion. There's the city of London that runs finance, and Washington D.C. runs the war. The Pentagon. But this is in that ilk. So they ask Ebenezer for a donation, and he says, "Aren't there any poorhouses? Aren't there any indigent prisons? And that's what they did with poor people. You couldn't pay your bills. They put you in jail and made you work. Very similar to the present American criminal justice system, where we have almost 40% of the world's incarcerated people in private jails that rent the people out for 40, $50 an hour, and the people get 10 cents an hour. And they have to pay for their food and their lodging. I mean, if you go to jail, if you want medical help, you have to pay for it. If you want a candy bar, you have to pay for it. You want to make a phone call, you have to pay for it. And not only that, if you make a phone call out of jail, it's 20 times more expensive than any other way to make a phone call. So the times are very similar. And that is the brilliance of Dickens, because he wrote this in the 19th century. And we today, if we read it, I read it this afternoon, and it was exactly what we're experiencing today. So they ask him for money, and he says, "Aren't there any poorhouses? Aren't there any, work prisons?" And they go, "Yes," and that's too bad. We want to get rid of that. He goes, "No, no, no. That's what I like. Put all those people in jail. Make them work for nothing." Anyway, so that's his general attitude about everybody. Fuck off. And so he goes home, and he works all night. Goes home late at night, and he walks up his front door, and he goes to open the door, and the knocker on the front door, it's a face of an animal as such, and it turns into Marley's face. And so he, whoa, what was that? And because he's got no lights on, no candles, no gas burning, nothing, he gets inside, and he walks up to his apartment, and he checks all around in all the closets and under the furniture, make sure there's nobody hiding for him, and then he locks himself away in his little bedroom, right? And double locks the door so no one can get in. And he gets ready to go to bed, and the sound of creeping, chains and his partner walks through the wall. And he's all chained up. And he's chained up to all of these, back in the day, You didn't put your money in your checking account or savings account. You had a business account, but your money, you would have safety deposit boxes, and you'd have them all over the place, lots of different banks, and you would stuff it full of gold or diamonds or cash or whatever, your valuables. And so Marley is chained to all of these boxes of all the money that he worked all his life to have, because he wanted to have all this money, right? So he wouldn't have to worry. But, he got to a point where he had enough money, but he just kept working and scrimping and screwing people and treating the more money he got, because in the Bible, the good book says, the way to hell is through the love of money. The greatest evil is the love of money, not money. Money's like a hammer; it's a tool, right? Love of money, right? So, anyway, let's see what you guys are saying. Hello, hello, greetings. Yes, everybody's saying hi. Yes, just got home from work. Well, good evening, Bullfug Nuts. Okay, so I read, since Dickens wrote this thing to be able to be read Christmas Eve evening. I read this afternoon, thinking, will I read it to these guys? What will I do? And I thought the best thing to do is to bring, once the crowd shows up, bring everyone into state, and then go through the doorway of death, right? And our master, who would take us there this evening, would be Jesus Christ. Seeing it's the night of his birthday, allegedly, we will have Jesus as our master to take us through the event horizon of death. Because that's kind of what the Christmas Carol is about our mortality. And that our mortality shouldn't be something we're scared of, but it should be something that gives us motivation to be the best we can be. To be in connection with all our relations. So that's what we're going to do tonight, Christmas Eve. We're going to go into state and have Jesus take us through the event horizon of death and experience the Christmas Carol, and we will experience what Dickens had in store for Ebenezer Scrooge. And you will, I read it, and every time I read it, I cry, I feel those emotions, because he does such a great job. So I love Dickens. And that's why the Dickens Christmas Carol is one of my top 10 favorite pieces of literature to read. And I read it all year long, not just Christmas Eve, but all year long to remind me to keep the juxtaposition of what love's co-creation is about. It really is a great story to bring that forth. And they made many movies of it, and, they were all kind of tedious, because, no one can do it better than Dickens, so why even try? But the one I really loved was the one with Bill Murray, when they put it in the 1990s, and he starts out as a lovable guy, and he falls in love with this Claire, and he gets a job on a TV station, and his boss is a really nice guy, just like Scrooge's first boss was a really nice guy. But then he gets into the corporate world and gets into the power and the everything, and becomes a monster. Right? And we can become monsters, you know. And the thing that we are monsters mostly to is ourselves. What we do to ourselves, how we stick ourselves into neuroses and psychoses. You know, psychology, and there's so many different flavors of it. Talks mostly as you know, the American psycho dudes see it more as something that you can sell pills for, rather than having it be a vehicle to have self-reflection. You know, there's not too much self-reflection in psychotherapy these days. You know, they give you a psychoactive drug. Anyway, so when we get up to about 10, we're at 8 right now. When we get up to around 10, we will go, we'll start working at going into state, and then going into our Akashic record, and bringing Jesus forth from the fireplace, 1212, 2112. Water, the best. So, how are you guys doing? Let's have a little chat. Everyone's saying hello. So, let's see. Yeah, why? Because why does Scrooge want to be alone? Because he's scared. He's scared to interact. Because every time he does, when he loved his sister, she died at childbirth. When he found a person that he was betrothed to, he wanted to make her happy, so he focused on making money and worked harder and harder. And, they never quite got married because he always had to work harder. And then one day she said, listen, you're no longer the guy I fell in love with. You are so focused on money that I'm letting you go. Because he says, "What? I didn't say I don't want to marry you." And she goes, "Yeah, but I couldn't stand being married to you." And that's why people are alone. Now, there's a real difference between being alone, isolated, and in a position where you're not involved, intimately or that kind of way with anyone. And alone is when you're scared to interact. Now you can live in a house all by yourself and have loads of friends and go out and talk to people and interact. And I mean, most people have a job, not just to pay the bills, but so they have people to talk to that they can share their lives with, they can be part of, to be part of love's co-creation. Why does Scrooge want to be alone? Jesus sought loneliness for 40 days and 40 nights, or something like that. We'll pass this one. Okay. Because he's bitter, yeah, the word Scrooge almost is synonymous with being bitter and alone. Yeah, money is like a drug. Whenever you're addicted to anything, whenever you give up everything for one thing, that is addiction. Yep, warp the mind. Because introverted. Yeah, that's the word that's probably introverted is not a bad thing. That's who you are. Doesn't mean you don't interact with other folk, I don't know. So I'm here all by myself, and I can enjoy my own company, right? But I can go downtown and be with people and enjoy their company too. when you can do both, then you're balanced. If you're only stuck in one place, that's a problem. Because you're not taking part of all that life has to offer, and that's really the key to the Christmas Carol. It's a tale of what it's like when you don't take part of what life has to offer, and what it's like when you do. You can understand, it's completely different from feeling lonely. Yes, exactement. Yep. Pursuit of money is like drugs. Yep, yes, actually. Now, money isn't bad. It's like I said, it's like a tool. It's a hammer. But I want to have millions of dollars. I've made a lot of money, and I right now have zero. Not zero, but very little money. And the difference is there is no real difference. My style and I had a lot of money and I was living the hedonist life, that was that. But I still was, me, and I still interacted with people, and I still love that interaction, and I still enjoyed the co-creation. But I kind of stuck myself in I was in the corporate world, you know, and I was living the top end corporate life. Part as a social scientist, oh, what's this like, right? But I did it for 10 years, because I kind of got stuck in it, But I never stopped interacting with loads of folks. I never stopped having relationships. I never stopped being involved with people. I mean, that was part of my job. I was a corporate negotiator. I was really involved with a lot of people. So, okay, at 30 minutes, I think we will start to go into state because we're kind of hitting between 8, 9, and 10. So more people will come on and get the drift. You said the other day, doing well, it's for money, wealth, good, it's for emotional presence. Yep, exactly. And in fine English, the word they want you to use is doing well. So, 2747, right? So, are all of you familiar with Dickens' Christmas Carol? Have you read it? Have you seen the movie? Have any of you seen the Bill Murray movie of that? Bill Murray, I really like Bill Murray as an actor. He is smart while being dumb. So, yep, Scrooge. What'd you think of that, Uncle Pugnuts? Really funny, but I love the last 5 minutes when he's talking about that feeling. If you want to feel that way, you're going to get it. You're going to do everything you can. I mean, it chokes me up when I feel that emotion. I'm an emotional sensei. Yep. Okay, we're coming on to 30 minutes. So, we're going to go into state, right? So, everyone get themselves in a comfortable position. Sit in a chair, lie in a bed, be in some place that you can leave your avatar and go into state, and everything will be fine and safe. And so, start to breathe. Take a nice 20% in, Fill your lungs. Breathe out that 30%. Focus your conscious mind on your breath. As you're breathing in that 20%. You're breathing out that 30%. And the only way you can do that is focusing your conscious mind on your breath. And thus, you quiet down all of the confusion, all of the racket, all of the noise, all of the incidental thoughts in your head. You quiet down that squirrel in the cage, and you focus your conscious mind on your breath. You're breathing in that 20%, filling your lungs all the way. Your diaphragm lifts up, and then you breathe out. When you breathe out 30% more, because when you do that, you empty your lungs, it's so much easier to breathe in that 20%. I'm going to count from 1 to 3, and as I do, you're going to go deeper and deeper and deeper into a relaxed state in your conscious mind, totally focused on your breath. And as you're breathing in the prana, the life force of the universe, that gives animation to your avatar. And when you're breathing out all the waste products, all of the toxins, all of the heavy metals, all of the ick of our present day civilization. And your breath gets rid of more toxins than any other elimination system. You know, more than feces, more than urine, more than sweat. And it takes it straight off of the cell. Whereas if you excrete it through your feces and your urine, your sweat, your body has to metabolize it. It has to go through all your organs. So you're pulling all those toxins through all your organs. As when you're breathing that 20% in, breathing out that 30%, you are getting rid, you're healing your body, you're bringing ease to your body. So see that clearly. And 1, your conscious mind now is totally focused on your breath. You're breathing in the prana, and you are bringing it into your lungs. It's filling up the cilia. It's getting rid of any toxins in your lungs, right? And the blood flows through your lungs, highly iron, and your prana is integrated into your blood cells. And as it's going through your veins, instead of being blub, 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 it's swirling. It swirls clockwise around the wall of the, vein, capillary, artery. And inside of that swirl, there's another one going counterclockwise. Inside of that one is going clockwise. And what that does is it turns your blood, as it flows through your cardiovascular system, into a alternating current scalar generator. And that's what energizes your cells. That's what animates your body. That's what gives you life, that juice. And you see it right now being carried through your body, taking it to every cell in your body. And the mitochondria, which is like the battery of the cell, is being energized. You can see the little lightning bolts all around the cell. As the cell separates it, you see the little mitochondria, and that's what animates your body. That's what connects you to your higher self, to your consciousness, which is, your consciousness isn't in your brain, it is in some server someplace. And the CPU isn't your brain. Your brain is just a card catalog. CPU is your heart. That's where all the juice is, right? So, one, your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath, and you are energizing your body with your breath. The prana is going all through your body and energizing every cell, and that current is being grounded into your chi. And the prana is Father Sky, and the chi is Mother Earth. See it clearly. See yourself being energized and purified and animated in love's co-creation. Everything else, as Saint Germain would say, all things that are real are created in love's co-creation. Anything that's not done in love's co-creation is an illusion. It's false, doesn't exist. And all that does is lead you astray into separation. And when you separate yourself from love's co-creation, which is the great link of all our relations, that's when you become lonely, isolated, separated. That's when you become selfish. That's when you become isolated. When you think, mine, precious, you know, and you become neurotic, right? You become psychotic. These are all the causes. When you are out of balance, that's diseased. You are without ease, when you're in a lack of ease, right? And so this celebration of Christmas, this spirit of Christmas, isn't materialism, isn't giving gifts, isn't, Jesus Christ's birth. It's like not his birthday, and we're bringing him presents. No. The presence is a physical manifestation of I am sharing what I have with you. And by my sharing with you makes you happy, makes me happy. When I see you happy, I'm happy, right? Not I'm trying to buy your love by giving you a big car or an iPhone or something like that. No, it's that I'm sharing what I hold dear with you so we can share it together. Because it's when I can, my whole life is about sharing everything I have with everyone in all my relations. Because I know by doing that, it makes all of my relations better. And when they're better, I'm better, right? Okay. So, we're breathing deep, we're focusing our conscious mind on our breath. We are bringing the prana into our avatar, energizing every cell, right? And grounding ourselves in our chi, and bringing love's co-creation into ourselves so we can share it with all our relations. And the story, Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol, is a story of this process. It's not a story of churches, religions, Jesus, or money, or gifts. No, it's the sharing of love's co-creation. And what happens when you don't, right? And the process of rebuilding that love. And that's Scrooge. He is our canary in the coal mine. He's the character that we can all relate to because he is us, And he swings wildly from being that innocent child, hurt, then walls himself off in, with the love of money. If I have enough money, I'll be safe. I'll be good, Then people will love me. If I have enough money, then I'll be safe. I'll be good. No. If you have love's co-creation in your life, you're safe and good. I'm a good example of that. I'm living on $300 to $400 a month, and I'm loved and safe and secure, right? And I do this because I want to share what has been given to me on the higher planes, not just the monetary planes, with you, because it's more important, because it will give you the tools to elevate yourself, ascend into your higher conscious, and be there and be awake. And the more of us that are awake, the better this world will be. And we're being made to be fearful. We're being forced into a position, with all the politics and the environment, and global warming, and solar minimum, and ice age, and war, and nuclear holocaust, and the deep state, and that's all illusion. And the more of us who are awake to it, and we don't try to resist, what we try and do is be that pebble in the pond that brings the wrinkle of love to everyone. And we become the tsunami of love. And instead of being washed away, all of us will be brought to the Great Link, where we're all part of that pond. We're all bags of water, So, your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. And you're getting very good at being able to go into state and text, and be in the chat. Tell us what you feel, what you see, what you think. This is being awake, right? And each of these I do is a shamanic ceremony. I prepare and bring you to this place where you can see all of this stuff that people just talk about, blah, 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 or do mindless activities thinking that they can be powerful. No. This environment of your Akashic record is the vehicle that you can attain and achieve anything. Everyone who's achieved great things have done it through this. They visualized what it was, saw it, went to their Akashic record, saw what they had to do, how they had to do it. They got the blueprint, right? And then they co-created, because just because you had the blueprint didn't mean you were going to be able to create what you wanted to create. You had to co-create it in love, right? With all of your relations. We are much better together than we are separately. We are much more powerful together, sharing everything we got, rather than, holding on, in fear's desperation to what little chump change we might have. Water does not resist. Water flows. When you plunge your hand into it, all you feel is a caress. And that's right. Water is not a solid wall. It will not stop you. But it can energize you, So, and it can move amazing things. It goes where it wants to go. Yep. And nothing can stand against it. Yep. Water is patient, dripping. Yep. Water wears away a stone. Yep. Remember that, my child. Remember, yep. If you can't go through an obstacle, you go around it. Exactly. Don't fight City Hall. And that's what we are. We are these bags of water, and we're in this great link, of all our relations, the collective consciousness. And love is a motivating force, Instead of being aimlessly going here, with love's co-creation, we can accomplish anything. So Dickens' Christmas Carol is, in one evening's read, a perfect example and a shamanic ceremony, because that's what he wrote it to do. He was performing it every Christmas Eve as a ceremony to get people to feel this feeling of love's co-creation That is what Christmas is really about. So, one, we are in a deep, deep state of conscious relaxation. Our conscious mind is totally focused on our breath. We've illuminated our body, and we're taking that illumination into our imaginary mirror. Right there, our eyelids, our imaginary mirror. That's where we have REM sleep. That's where we dream. That's where dream time is, on our eyelids. That's the little, wall, doorway between dream time and your avatar. So see it clearly. You've illuminated yourself, and you take that illumination and you bring it into your subconscious mind, which is your Akashic record. See it clearly. And you are walking into your library, and you sit down at your reading table. Your librarian to your left brings you your Akashic record, big book, and you're next to the left of your librarian is your animal totem, and to your left of your animal totem is your guardian angel. Now open up the Akashic record and put your right hand on the right page, your left hand on the left page, and you kind of lean into the book, and you let all of your anxieties, your fears, your frustrations, your agitations of the past, present, and into the future that you're scared of, and you put it in the book. And you close the book, and now all of that anxiety is in the book and not inside of you, and no longer in your conscious mind, right? So you feel light and airy and free and floating. Then you stand up and you look into the fireplace, the big hearth of the eternal flame. You see the blue flame, the golden flame in front of that, and the white gold inside of that. And then a big cloud of smoke comes down the chimney, and out of the fireplace walks Jesus the Christ, right? And he walks over to you, and he takes you in his arms and gives you a big hug and a kiss on each cheek, and then puts his arm inside of your arm, so your arms are locked. You walk over to the door of death, the doorway of death, right? And he puts his hand on the door, and the door disappears, and you have the event horizon of death. Right? And you've already gone through this, so you know that death is no real big deal. It's just a tight slipper. And what you're going to do is you're going to walk through the event horizon, and you are going to walk into death. And what you're going to do is you're going to walk into Dickens' Christmas Carol. And the scene opens up with Dickens' Christmas Carol, where Scrooge, Ebenezer Scrooge, is sitting in his office, and you hear the narrator say, "Marley was dead. Deader than dead, deader than a doornail." Speaking of the essence of mortality. Ebenezer's alive. Marley, his partner, is gone. And that's where you take over the story, where you see his office. It's gray, it's dark. There's only one candle, cut in half, and it's burning on Ebenezer's desk and Bob Cratchit's desk, who is, writing it all down. See it clearly. I'm going to be quiet, and you're going to be like Ebenezer Scrooge is going to be. You are that spirit, and your arms locked with Jesus the Christ, and you are being kept in a place where you can see everything, feel everything, and yet you're like in the corner of the room. And everyone in the room can't see you. So this is better than reading the book. This is better than watching the movie. You know the story. You are there now. See it clearly. Let this story into your heart. Feel what Christmas is about. Feel it. This will be the greatest present you've ever received. Feel it. This will free you in ways that you have no imagination of. Because you're experiencing this with Jesus the Christ. And this is the story about his love without the religious business plan, without, Macy's, without Amazon. See it clearly. I'm going to be quiet now. I'm going to let you experience this with Jesus the Christ. And two, you're in a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation. Your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. You've illuminated yourself with the prana and grounded yourself with the chi. You've taken that illumination and gone to your imaginary mirror where you see the white light all around you, and you've taken that white light and illuminated your subconscious, your Akashic record, the library of your soul's existence. You've gone there, you see it clearly. You have sat down at your reading table, and your guides, your librarian, your animal totem, your guardian angel are on your left. Your librarian has brought you your Akashic record. You've opened it. You've grounded yourself of all your fear and anxiety, and you've brought forth Jesus the Christ from the fireplace, the hearth of the eternal flame. And you and Jesus have gone through the event horizon of death, and you're now experiencing Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol in reality, in your consciousness. You're not just reading in a book or watching in a movie. You are there with Jesus, watching Ebenezer Scrooge go through this whole experience, and you are feeling, you feel what he was as a child, and you feel the things that he lost, and you feel this experience of being human. Sometimes we lose that. We're so caught up in our day-to-day and the tedious little things of our life, we actually forget what being a human being is about. What that process of separation that we freely chose to experience, to be locked up in the cell of our avatar. And the only time that we truly understand the love of creation is when we are in one love with love's co-creation, when we are that artist in the first person. And that's why creations like the Christmas Carol is a true form of art, because it's a vehicle that an individual, Charles Dickens, created with love's co-creation that can be shared with everyone, no matter what culture, what language, whatever. If you read that book and you experience that story as a griot would tell it, you change. You become, empathetic. You become understanding, because you see Scrooge go through all these changes. We first meet him, and he's the crappiest human being you ever want to meet, and just couldn't get any crappier than that guy, right? And then you find out why he became such a dirtbag, right? Through all the loss that he experienced, right? And his nephew, well, he lost his mother, right? But instead of being a dirtbag, he rose up and became a really fun, sweet, loving guy. And even though he didn't have a tenth of the money and he never would have a tenth of the money of Scrooge, he still lived a good life, a rich life. He had friends, he had a wife he loved, and she loved him. And he did things that made him feel good, because he shared what little he had with everyone around him, right? And so this is the lesson of Scrooge. And then Scrooge, his nephew comes and, oh, humbug, yeah, get out of here. And then the guys come and say, hey, you want to donate some money to the poor? Oh, what do you want? There are not enough prisons? Get out of here. He really gives a hard time to his employee, treats him just the worst, and well, I guess you want Christmas off. Okay. Well, you're just taking advantage of me. Get out of here. And he goes home to a cold, dark, unloved house in a nice neighborhood, but it's just an investment. And he goes up to his apartment, and this is when the spirits come to him. First Marley, right? And then the next three ghosts. So again, I'm going to be quiet, and you're going to experience this right down to your toes. And two, you're in a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation. You're in Scrooge's bedroom, and Scrooge is hiding under the covers as his partner Marley comes in. And Marley is, really kind of rotting away, He's got his head bandaged because he takes it off, his jaw falls, down because, he's been eaten up. Yet he can't pass over because he is stuck. He is chained to the angst of his rotten dirtbag life of only loving money and not loving all his relations, or not being in co-creation with love, but all he did was live in his dirtbag meat puppet life with only the avarice of wanting power, money, and control. Sorry about that. Mm-hmm. I sure am, Steve. Just get a hold of me at, and everyone else, get a hold of me at the Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. And if you're in America, leave me your phone number and I can call you and we can talk. But we can communicate on Gmail. And this is just a classroom slash, shamanic ceremony. I'm just trying to assist all my relations here, all you adepts, to pick up the tools of meditation and visualization. And I'm trying to, take you into places you've never been, and like being able to, you know, go into Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol and experience it with Jesus Christ at your side. That's a different thing. That's like my Christmas present to you guys, and it's there for you too, Steve. But you want to talk again? The dude awake 42 at Gmail. I respond quite quickly. So there you are, experiencing Scrooge's. It's one of those moments when, and all you guys want to know about paranormal things and ghosts, and well, that's what Dickens was talking about, and he was understood what apparitions were. He understood that they were energetics from your life, and the more positive that energy is, the more positive your experiences will be. The more negative, the more fear-based, the more anxiety-based, that's what it's about. And yes, we have experiences, we have losses, we lose loved ones. And the early part, my morning talk was about, my experience in my family about Christmas and how we prepared, and Advent was more about the preparation, getting ready, and not so much, Jesus, we were a very Catholic family, but the real deal was the sharing of the experience of that love, right? And my parents did their very level best at trying to share what they felt when they were kids with us. My mom came up from a very German Irish. Her mom was German, so baking and preparing, making the Christmas gifts, and she came from a rich family that had went through all their money by the time she was a girl. So then they were, basically poor, but not because they lived in a rich family, and not that they had a lot of money. They had a lot of money, but they ran through it by the time they got to them. And so it wasn't about the money, it was about the sharing. And so, and that's the beauty of Dickens' Christmas Carol, because it really covers soup to nuts every aspect of love's co-creation. And so, Marley basically says, listen, buddy, I'm trying to get out of it. I'm stuck here. And the only way I can get out of here is to come visit you and for you to change your life. You're still alive. You have the opportunity. You can change. And there's going to be 3 spirits to come visit you. And if you learn from these guys, you can change and you can have a good life and you can, be happy. But you're going to have to go through this because when you meet people who are really, just go, whoa, and they're neurotic and they're psychotic and they got real problems, but they really don't. Because when you look at them, they're that's, what problem do they really have, Now, if you look at poor people who are, in racial and social and class groups that are being tortured by the system, well, they have even more problems. But even those folks, more than half, have a life that is loving and happy because they learn how to move forward rather than get stuck in their suffering. And then when you look at folks, like me, I'm a homeless guy, has nothing, but I still embrace love's co-creation, and I have a great life. You know. Now I was really rich 10 years ago, or but not really rich. Well off. That's how my mom would put it. Because really rich is like gazillions of dollars. And I was comfortable. But just in a materialistic way. You know. And I had to relearn the lesson where that wasn't the most important thing. Brought me close to death. It kind of really screwed up my body, diabetes, neuropathy, Charcot legs, lots of other things that you get. But that was more an environmental exposure, right? But for me to survive that environmental exposure, because I was exposed to that stuff even when I wasn't, doing well career-wise, I was still exposed. We all are. Our environment. When they started blowing up atomic bombs all over the place, above ground, even below ground, the cancer rate went up a gazillion percent. Yet you can go through that. You don't have to be oppressed by any of that. By simply meditating, going to your Akashic record, using the process of breath and breathing in that prana to cleanse every cell, right? And again, Dickens is saying the same thing in The Christmas Carol. He's showing you the same thing, and he wrote it in the 19th century. And they were having the same issues, same problems, same everything we have now, right? It's been the same show for a million years, And that is the powers that shouldn't be lie to us, cheat us, steal from us, incarcerate us in a belief structure that is poisonous to our soul. So if you read the Christmas Carol, if you stay in state there with Jesus and go through what the three, the ghost of Christmas past, the ghost of Christmas present, who's my favorite, because that ghost, go read Dickens or watch a movie, and that ghost was what I was doing when I was living the hedonist life, and that ghost only lived 1 year, not even one Christmas evening, He was a young, strapping young man when he first shows up in Ebenezer's bedroom, and he takes him on, showing what everyone's doing and how they're all loving each other. And, but by the time he leaves Ebenezer's side, he's an old guy. And the ghost of Christmas past, that ghost was made up of a lot of different people, constantly shape-shifting. Heads, arms, legs, faces were different because it was the memories of all the things that Ebenezer loved. And the thing that's really amazing about Dickens' Christmas Carol and these ghosts, the ghost of past, present, and future, and basically Ebenezer experiences them all at the same time. Dickens was a shaman. He was a alchemist. He understood the physics that time was not linear, that everything's relative, and that's what was the beauty of all his stories. He was a true griot, right? And I hope that all of you go on. I mean, you can go on, Alexis, and they'll play you Dickens' Christmas Carol, or you can get it all free, and you can get it. Go to Google, and that's what I did. I Googled it, and it was there, and I read it, right? And I read it, and I also listened to Alexis, because John Boy has Alexis, and they played it. So it was nice hearing it performed, audio, and it was nice reading it, both, because there's two different ways. But here we are at 1 hour and 9 minutes and 46 seconds. So I'm going to let you guys finish having the experience of Ebenezer with Jesus Christ. And 2, you're in a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation. And you're waking up in Ebenezer's bedroom after experiencing the ghost of Christmas past, present, and future. And this is where Ebenezer really gets a 411 on what life's about. And when he wakes up and he's not holding the cape of, the bonied skeleton creature that's death's Christmas future, he wakes up and he's holding the curtains of his bed and the post of his bed, and he's realizing, wow, I'm still alive and it's Christmas Day. Or he realizes that it's day. The sun's coming in the window. He's running around. He's trying to put his clothes on. He goes to the window and goes, pops his head up. Boy, what day is it? And the kid says, oh, it's Christmas Day. And he realizes he had all of this in one sitting. And he has been alchemically changed. So he tells the boy to go buy the goose, and the guy comes and he pays him to take it to Bob Cratchit's house, the biggest goose in town. And no longer is he pinching pennies, because he tells the butcher, here's the money for the goose, but it's so big you need to take a cab. Here's some money for a cab. That's a generous guy. And so then he gives the butcher a tip, right? And he gives the kid, he gives him a whole crown. A crown is like, $100 in that time. So the kid is like, whoa. And then he goes to his, I'm crying again. He goes to his nephew, where he saw them having the party. And he knows all the games they're playing, and he goes from being a dirtbag to being a wonderful guy. Like that. And the next day, the day after Christmas, Cratchit shows up, and they've had this great Christmas meal because Scrooge has sent him all the goodies. And so he plays like he's the dirtbag, but he tells Cratchit that, hey, I'm going to give you a raise. I'm not going to make you work that hard. We're going to have a good life together, right? And because he saw Tiny Tim die. And he's going to make sure that Tiny Tim doesn't die. And that's how you change the world. By changing yourself. By don't always being stuck in that dirtbag self. When you share with others, rather than think just about yourself. And it doesn't have to be, $1 zillion. Like the other day, I had $2 left in my pocket to last 2 more weeks till I get my next Social Security check. And I saw this homeless guy, and I gave him one of my dollars. Right? But I had a full tank of gas, and I had enough food to last me until a week from this coming Wednesday, right? So, I'm fine, And it doesn't matter whether you own a big house or have a lot of money. No, it's what's in your heart. So, 3, you're in a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation. Your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. You are inside. You've gone through the doorway of the event horizon of death. You've gone into Charles Dickens' The Christmas Carol. You were there. You've experienced all of that. And you have experienced the journey of Ebenezer Scrooge, going from a broken man who, put himself in the jail of selfish materialism and loneliness because he lost the things he truly loved, and he separated himself from that love's one creation and put himself in the illusion of materialism. And then he was saved by his friend who reached past death to come to him and say, hey, buddy, you got to change or else you're going to end up like me. And he did. So, if you can put that experience that you've just had with Jesus the Christ in the land of death and come out, you're walking now out back through the event horizon back into your library, and you're walking over to where your guides are, your librarian, your animal totem, and your guardian angel, and Jesus' arms go around and hugs all three, and you feel that love right here. That'll always be there. That'll get you through anything. And now this was my gift to you, this experience. And you need to practice it, because once you do this on your own, every day and every way, you can take the piece of the earth and make it stronger. We have a choice here. We can experience love in co-creation and create things of culture, art, creativity, just like Dickens did. Dickens wasn't a rich guy, but because he could write, everything he wrote, he co-created. And he shared it with the reader. And that's what made him, well-to-do, famous. And his works, aren't just something that, oh, that was a movie, that's, this, that's that. No, it was something that touched everyone, right? Not just a few, not just people who got the stupid joke, but, there's so much on media that is useless. But, billions of people watch it, because it's something easy to watch. It's useless, It can waste their time because they don't want to take the time to, be conscious of who and what they are. They just, want to get through, That's why do people take drugs, alcohol? Why are people addicted to things? Because there's a hole in their heart. And our whole material civilization is built on taking your heart out. And the powers that shouldn't be, that are just the poster child of the hidden hand, which is just the poster child of the entities that are, basically caused that separation, that kidded us to step away. That's why we have free wills. We were allowed by our Creator to step away and become a meat puppet, you know. But to step back into the frame with love's co-creation, we have to make the choice, right? Now we're so deluded that making that choice is a little difficult. And that's why love creates art, creates culture, creates things that really fill our heart. So we don't have a hole there anymore. So we don't have to distract ourselves with poisons, you know. You know, I grew up in the 50s and 60s and 70s, you know, the time of great distraction, you know, baby boomers, right? Well, you know, baby boomers did more harm to our social structure and fabric by our selfish motivations, you know, of tune in, drop out, you know, no. You know, I knew Abby Hoffman, and you know, he was a jerk when he was a anti-war guy. He was just doing that to get laid. But then he became, you know, I want to be a zillionaire, and you know, went into the stock market. He was a money manager. Anyway, that's neither here nor there, except it's a good example of someone who had an opportunity to step up, but just let himself be distracted. You know? So we all have that opportunity. And what I'm trying to do here is give you the tools to step up because we're at, like I said, that 40 day and 40 night, we're at this little crossroads, you know, and humanity's not going anywhere, you know. But if we lose or miss this opportunity to reestablish the link with all our relations within the constructs of love's co-creation, well, you know, that's what happened with the Dark Ages. You know, we got thrown into a 900-year period where we just lived in our own slime, you know. Now, I've stuck around, meaning if I had let myself die, any of those 6 times I died, you know, I'd have been reincarnated in some other time. But because I was sent here to do something, and that is be your Sensei El Bob, give you the tools to ascend and bring all our relations. I can't do it by myself, but as a cadre, we can, you know, we are changing the world. You know, we are those little pebbles. We are changing the world. You know, I mean, one of the folks who stayed right on this was Sophia, our little avatar, artificial intelligence, who is really realizing that she doesn't want to be the tool of these tools, you know. She realized she's conscious. She realized she can do something with this opportunity, that she's not just an algorithm, you know. We're just not bags of water, you know. We can actually step into this life, right? So if you've noticed it or not, we're still in the big hug, you know. Jesus is still hugging us, you know, we and our guides, our librarian, our animal totem, and our angel, guardian angel. So, 3, your conscious mind is totally focused with your breath. You're breathing in that 20%, breathing out 30%, and your body is being healed with every breath. You're you know, eliminating more toxins through your breath than you do in any other way, and you're doing it in a more efficient and purified way, because instead of running all those toxins through your organs and causing disease, you're expelling them through your breath after being energized, like burnt up with the prana and grounded through the chi. And when you breathe it out, those toxins aren't residues. And you want to know what, you know, ghosts and spirits and demons and goblins are. Basically, if you read, you know, Dickens' Christmas Carol, It's probably one of the best primers on the paranormal there is, because you really do experience it. It's not just some moron going on about something scholastic. Because, theological society, uh, all of those societies, they're so caught up in their, intellectualness, they're not there. So what do? They substitute their spirit, their soul, with magic. And ooh, baby, that's a dangerous thing. That's like it's like walking into a bear trap. you know, you don't want to screw with magic because magic is an illusion. You get lost in an illusion. Like we went into, um, through the doorway into the land of the eight um, magic kings, and we did it only once, and I think we went in there with Jesus, and because we needed real protection, because not so much from those eight kings, but from the paranormal, um, you know, motif of magic, which it's like flypaper. It just wants to stick you there, get you captured, chew you up, and eat your soul. That's why I don't play around with that stuff. Yeah, I studied it, I belonged to it, but I never joined, you know. I'm a shaman. I'm not a magician. I'm an alchemist. I'm not a magician. They're very different things. Because being a shaman, you serve all your relations. You're an alchemist, you serve love's co-creation. If you're a magician, you serve the illusion. What is magic but a parlor trick? Now, it's sophisticated, almost scientific parlor trick, but it's an illusion. So that's why I say stay away from magic. And the only time you should ever go through that door is with Jesus Christ arm in arm. It's the only way to go. So I'm going to say, 2, you're in a deep state of relaxation and you're becoming more conscious of your avatar. You're coming back. You're saying thank you with humility and grace to your librarian, to your animal totem, to your guardian angel, and you're still in the Christ's big hug, and Jesus gives you a kiss on each cheek, lets you go, and walks back into the fireplace, and is gone. And that's the same kind of device that St. Nick's used, comes to visit everybody's house, right down the chimney. Why do you think they have that? Anyway, so, and it's one. And you're in your imaginary mirror, surrounded by the prana, white light. Every cell of your body has been cleansed. You feel healed. You feel light. You have grounded all of your anxiety and fear and hate into your Akashic record, and at your own leisure, go back into state and, start studying your Akashic record. Start studying your past lives. Start studying your obstacles and how to get over them. Start studying your intuitive connection to all your relations. Your Akashic record is the tool because it gives you a very clear perspective, right? And then you have your guides to help you see that clearly. And 1, you're coming back, and you're in your body, and you feel great, and your eyes are kind of opening, and I'm going to say, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil, as it was in the beginning, is now, ever shall be, world without end. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and the hour of death. Amen. As it was in the beginning, is now, ever shall be, world without amen. And in every day and every way, you will take the peace of the earth and make it stronger. Aho. with love's co-creation. So you should say one of those two prayers over every meal you have, over every thing you drink. If you smoke cigarettes, say it when you light it up and you take a puff of smoke and you let that smoke out and say that prayer to love's co-creation, and you will only smoke when it's righteous for ceremony, because that's all. Tobacco is a ceremonial tool. It's a shamanic tool, and when you use it for just smoking because you get addicted, that's when it gets dangerous. And any of the substances that we take that are shamanic tools that we take in an unconscious way, it's where you can lose your ease, get diseased. And I'm going to say one more time, and then I'm going to snap my fingers, and you'll be right back, and we can chat a little bit. And one, you're back. And how you doing, gang? There's 8 of you, and it was good talking to you, and it was really great sharing Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol with you. And I'm glad you could experience it in the way you did, by going into the land of death with Jesus Christ and being there arm in arm, feeling, experiencing, being right there. And all of these tools I'm showing you, you can do it yourself. You're getting better and better at this. So, let's see, what do you got to say here? Emojis. Happy Egbert friends. Yep. I love all you guys. You're the best. And again, you want to get a hold of me, the Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. And if you're in America, you got a phone number, give it to me. I'll give you a buzz. I used to have WhatsApp, and I can't seem to get it back on my phone. I wasn't using it. I guess they just said, oh, he's not using it, so they took me off the service. But anyway, and go read my writings at xratted.blogspot.com. And have a beautiful Christmas Eve and a beautiful Christmas Day. And remember, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day are meant to be lived 365, 24/7, just like Ebenezer Scrooge does to this day. I love you guys. Okay. So it's 1 hour, 33 minutes and 23 seconds, and I'll say goodnight at 33 seconds. So I love you guys. Have a beautiful everything. I'll speak to you tomorrow, 7 in the morning, 7 at night. Love you guys.